Welcome to the Living for His Glory podcast. I'm your host, Lucas Barrett. As a college student studying pastoral ministry, spreading the word and making disciples of all nations is my ultimate mission. I have a deep but still expanding knowledge of Scripture and understand overlooked perspectives and theologies that can provide deep meaning for your life. Sometimes I talk about these scriptures and theologies on my own, but other times I interview some people from my vast network and discuss a topic they're passionate about and their own life experiences that may help you in your own spiritual journey. Whether you're a new Christian, a growing Christian, or someone who doesn't even believe in God, this podcast is for you. Be sure to follow and subscribe to this podcast as we navigate what it means to live for His glory. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Living for His Glory podcast. We have our first guest in a while. I know when I did my previous stint, the back half of 2023, I didn't have a guest. Well, I do now. This is my good friend Kyle Plant. Me and Kyle, we met at the end of 2023.
Yeah.
And we really got to know each other last spring, especially in February, March, and April. We got really close. Our girlfriends are pretty close. I just got to know Kyle. And he was away last fall. He went to MTSU Trader. And but he made the right choice. He's coming back to Tribeca. And now I can get to see him every day now. And we get to do stuff like this. And so this is more than likely not the only time you ever see him that we'll get to see him. Dude, our conversations are just intelligent. We goof off, we have fun, make jokes, whatever, but he's one of the most intelligent people that I know, and I'm really excited for what this conversation is going to bring. We already know what we're going to discuss, but so many conversations can take so many amazing shapes and turns, and it's just an amazing thing. And so that's really what I wanted to speak, this conversation between me and you.
Yeah,
right?
Sure, man. I'm really happy to be here, and we've been talking about doing something like this for a little bit, so I'm really excited that we're finally able to do something like this, especially in a setup like this.
Oh, I know, dude. Like you have so much space here. And it was shocking. You never knew that a place like Benzie could have so much space.
Yeah, when you're by yourself.
Yeah, it's for sure. It's a nice point of not having a roommate. So yeah, you want to go ahead and hop into it?
Yeah, you go ahead and hit me with whatever.
So me and you, we briefly talked about, you came to me a little bit before the new year. So this is probably December, I think it was the 27th.
Something like that, yeah.
You called me. I remember I had just gotten down to Haley's house. And you were like, hey, I got this idea for your podcast. And I said, okay, yeah, what you got? And so you really want to talk about, we hear a lot about the New Year's resolution. I'm sure many of you have wrote it down in a notes app, on your whiteboard, on your door, wherever you have it. And you have these New Year resolutions. But the thing is, and Kyle was like, a lot of people don't really live up to those. And you want to talk about that. Now, I mean, I had a couple episodes already lined up. We had to delay this a couple weeks. Plus, this is our first week actually back able to do an in-person interview.
Yeah.
Now we're 2 weeks into it. It's January 13th. We're 2 weeks into this new year. And okay, now at this point, resolutions have already been made. People have already tried to do them. But I think the average New Year's resolution holds up, what, 2 to 3 weeks?
Most people at this point have already failed.
They've already failed.
Now, it's one thing to fail. I'll go a step further and say most people at this point have already given up.
I've already given up.
They've already given up.
Yeah, I mean, that's what failure really is.
Yeah.
If you make a mistake, we're all going to make mistakes.
It says in Proverbs, a wise man, he'll fall, but he'll get back up again. But a foolish man, he stumbles when thunder strikes. So that exact same thing. You can fall, you can fail. But if you get back up and keep trying, then it doesn't matter that you failed. You got back up and you kept trying. Most people, as soon as they fail, they'll quit.
Yeah. And
that's exactly, that's the ultimate failure. So as soon as at the first sign of struggle, at the first sign of hardship, like their motivation is completely depleted. Now it's all up to discipline.
Yeah.
And most people don't have the discipline to be able to keep going regardless of how they feel about it.
Absolutely.
And so because of that, so many of these New Year's resolutions, and it centers around health, which people seem to care so much about until it actually comes time to actually take care of your health. Which I'm not speaking from a place of I'm Sam Sulek. I'm not Hercules. I got a little tub too, but I'm not going to be going around giving out health advice. I'll focus on my own health.
Yeah.
Just like how in an airline when you're flying. Have you ever flown before?
Yeah.
Yeah. Something that they always tell you when you're flying is if the plane's going down and the masks fall from the ceiling, get your own mask on first.
There you go.
Then you can start helping other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, same thing with the same principle in the Bible. You gotta fix yourself first before you can help other people. Same exact thing. You gotta fix your own health first before you can start helping other people. I'm not at a place where I can really lecture people on their health. Now that's just me saying that's just a big topic. But I can go and say that I do have enough discipline to be able to go and tell people that, hey, you need to focus up on this. You need to get your act together. Because motivation means nothing. Motivation really does mean nothing if you don't have the discipline to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You touched on some really core biblical truths there. Are you familiar with the Sermon on the Mount?
Yes, I am.
The plank thing, you remember? Don't try to pick out the speck in someone's eye when you got a plank in your own.
Exactly.
That kind of thing right there. And I really love, you were really honest about your credibility. And so when you're honest about that, about your credibility like that, you're like, hey, I'm not really in a place where, listen, if you want a 6-pack, you should probably not talk to me.
Yeah.
You should probably.
Thanks, man.
There's probably more people in the world.
Yeah.
Better people in the world that you can listen to if you want a 6-pack.
Right.
But you still have, like, you established that, hey, I may not be the best. It's hey, I'm not going to tell you to do something I can't, or I haven't done. You can't. You can do a lot of things.
You can do anything you put your mind to. It's just a matter of putting your mind to it.
Yeah, absolutely. About a month ago, I started a cut with my dad.
Yeah.
So we did this thing called a bod pod. They have one at Vanderbilt. I live in Lexington, so we did ours in Kentucky. I'm sure they have it at whatever big schools. Vanderbilt's just the one around here. So what we did was they weighed us on the scale. They weighed us on a more precise scale. We're down in our freaking underwear, me and my dad. Great.
Nice.
Yeah, great father-son bonding moment.
Yeah.
And then they stuck us in this pod. And so we just sit there, the pod scans us, it scans us again. And what it did was it captured a bunch of stats, like body fat percentage, it captured volume, it captured how many pounds you were in just fat, how many pounds you were with just body mass, no fat involved, just all these bunch of different stats. And so me and my dad are doing a competition, see by quarter, going through the whole year, and by quarter, right now, this first quarter, it's who can lose the most just straight up body fats, like not percentage, just who can lose the most body fat, just weight, pounds. I weigh a lot more than him. I think I got an advantage.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that kind of this goal setting. It's a competition. That's another thing about resolution. Most people with a resolution, they're really thinking about, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm writing this down. That's very selfish.
It is. Yeah, it is. It can be very selfish if you're only doing it.
Here's
I'm gonna have to hear you out on that one.
Here's the point I'm making.
Okay, let's hear it.
Most people are not strong enough to hold themselves accountable.
No.
This is a biblical truth itself. It's a spiritual truth.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to change something about my spirituality, about whatever sin that I'm having, if I have, everyone has, I call it a lethal sin, right? That sin that like you just
keeps getting you every single time.
You just go and deal with it.
Right.
Yeah, you're going to deal with it for the rest of your life. You're probably going to struggle with it the rest of your life. Not that you're going to do it the rest of your life. It's just going to keep rear its head.
Yeah.
Those sins, you can't defeat that by yourself.
No.
We need what?
Team.
We need Jesus.
Yeah.
First,
accountability is a big thing.
Accountability is a great thing. But my point was, we need Jesus. We need that his grace, his mercy, and his help, our reliance on God to defeat these things. But then also, yes, personal accountability. Like me and you, we've talked about a lot of stuff. We've talked about our own demons. We've talked about our own struggles.
Right.
And the thing is, if I'm struggling with something, I know, I can call Kyle. Like Kyle is going to have my back if I'm struggling with something, and I hope you feel the same way about me.
Oh, I absolutely do.
Yeah, that level of accountability, your resolution, if you want, we can call it a resolution. I know last week I called it an identity. What's your new identity? If you need help with that resolution or that new identity, that's good. You need that help. If you're going to make such a significant change in yourself, you're going to need that help. You're trying to go to the gym. That's probably the number one resolution every single year.
Yeah.
You're going to need a gym bro. Or a gym sis, whatever, a gym partner, whoever you're gonna go work out with. That level of accountability, you get somebody else on the same page as you and say, hey, if I have a weakness, because I'm going to have my weaknesses, man. Let's say me and you weren't gym goers, we are. But if we weren't and we want to start this year, it's okay, me and you are going to start together. I'm going to have my days of weakness. I'm going to have a day where I don't want to go to the gym. I'm going to look at my phone, I'm going to see a leg day and go, uh-oh. The thing is, it's ironic because I love leg day. But legs feed the beast. Legs feed the beast.
I never heard of that.
Oh no, that's what my teammate Alex says.
Oh, My big thing, especially back in football, was every day is leg day.
Every day's like that. That's
Every
good.
day's like that.
Every day's like that. Because legs, where the power comes from.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
point I'm making is, hey, I'm going to have those days of weakness. And the thing is, the chances of us having matching weakness days are very little.
Yeah.
And so you're gonna be like, no, you're going to the gym.
Yeah.
And vice versa. And it's that level of accountability. And a lot of people shy away from accountability that I found
Right.
just from being around sports my whole life. And when it comes time for accountability, people get scared. And I've gotten scared of it too. Like I've got scared of calling people out sometimes, or well, I think calling them up, because I'm trying to call them up to a certain level. I'm trying to make them better, call them up to a standard. But and then it's a very awkward, it can be an awkward conversation because you don't want to make somebody mad, right? You don't want to offend, not you, because most people.
I don't worry about offending people. I say what I say and get offended,
Yes.
don't blame me.
Yes, he does. It's part of why I love him. But most people, they don't want to offend somebody. They don't want to lose a friend. They don't want to run that risk.
Yeah.
And that's a place I think where Satan can really go into a crack, where Satan can really tear people apart from who God is trying to make them to be.
Yeah.
We have friends and brothers and family and close people for a reason. It's not just for comfort, because sure, we're here for comfort as well, right? We're here to be here for each other.
Right.
Be a shoulder to lean on if we need it, but also, hey, I'm going to help you
Right.
rise up and meet that standard that we're supposed to meet.
And I'm gonna go ahead and bank on top of that. I would go even as far as say that comfort, especially when we seek it out, when we indulge in it, can be our greatest destroyer.
Yeah, comfort, dude.
Comfort can destroy you. Why? Here's the biggest thing, and I used to struggle with back when I still made New Year's resolutions, and I'll get into more of that later. But back when I used to make New Year's resolutions, and I'm sure everybody feels the same exact way, that after a certain point, I feel pretty good right now. I think I'll just have a day off. Or no, you know what? This bed's pretty comfortable.
Yep.
I don't want to get up. You know what? I did my push-ups yesterday. I'm feeling pretty big today. I'm just gonna go ahead and not do it today. You know what? I'm good enough as I am. I don't really need to improve anything. I think I'll just go ahead and keep doing what I'm doing. And that's where it gets you. I think that right there, that one final lie of you're perfect as you are. You're amazing as you are. Nothing is better than what you are now. You see this with a lot of people all the time. You're perfect. You're so amazing. Like, I wish I was you. Check the comment section of any influencer post.
Yep.
It's like, oh my gosh. But where does the growth come from in that?
You're
Like,
done.
we're so focused on trying to make everybody feel good and trying to make ourselves feel good that we stay stagnant.
Yes.
And that's not a good thing, especially with where we are in our youth. We cannot stay stagnant. We have to realize that we got a lot of work that we gotta do.
Yeah.
We got a lot of
We
work
got
that gotta do.
some things.
And we can walk out to the world and pound our chest and say, look at me, I'm this. Here I am. I'm gonna make it happen. But that doesn't mean that we're perfect. That doesn't mean that we got no work to do.
It's a confidence that I can do this. I can do whatever I want to do, whatever I put my mind to. But it's a humility of, okay, I got a lot of work to do. I got a lot of room to grow, but I can do this.
Exactly. And so with that comes this podcast where you're catering to men, you're teaching men how to be better men, correct?
Yeah, teaching men how to be better men.
Exactly. And so I'll go as far as this. You cannot be a respectable man if you do not hold true to your word. And it starts in here. And it starts in here.
That's a
If
take.
you say that you're going to do something, you have to hold to it.
Yes.
If you say, I'm going to be going to the gym every day, go to the gym every day.
Yeah.
If you say, I'm going to be eat right, because other people are going to see that.
Mhm.
And if you're telling everyone that I'm going to do this and you never do it, they can't then rely on you to say, for you to do what you say you're going to do.
Mhm.
They can't go to you if they need help. They can't go to you if they need you to do something. They can't rely on you.
Mhm.
Because when you had the chance to prove yourself to be a reliable person, you failed.
Mhm.
Why? Because you chose comfort. You chose comfort and compliance over bettering yourself. So something that I did before I started working with this moving company back in May. I did this for a straight up year. I held myself to 500 push-ups every single day.
500
500
every day.
I wouldn't go to sleep before I finished my 500. There would be nights where I'd be cranking out 300 before I go to bed.
Dude.
And I had a rule for myself, and I had to hold myself to it because I knew if I don't hold myself to this rule, then nothing that I say matters. Nothing that I say will ever have any effect on anybody else because no one's going to listen to me. Because no one's going to take seriously what I have to say because they can't rely on me. If I cannot rely on myself, no one's going to rely on me.
Mm-hmm.
And so a rule that I had for myself when I was doing my push-ups was if I drop before I hit my mark, because I would start off with doing 75 at a time, then maybe after a certain point, 50, then dropping it down to 25, and I was doing increments like that. And I would tell myself if I dropped before I hit the mark, with however many I had left, I doubled it.
Wow.
And each one push-up only counts as half. So like if my goal is 50 push-ups and I drop at say 35, I got 30 push-ups now until I get 50 instead of 15. And I remember I did that one time, and it was one time I dropped and I was like, oh, now I gotta do 15. Now I gotta do 30 more push-ups just for 15. And I remember my whole chest was blown out. I was like, this sucks. I gotta.
You never go fall again. No.
And I would pause at the top for a little break, then I keep going.
Yeah, I mean, you're human. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I made a reference to this verse. It was Proverbs 24:16. For though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again, but the foolish stumble and calamity strikes. It's human to suffer. We cannot avoid suffering. We cannot avoid falling. We're all going to fail at some point.
The greatest suffering is the greatest success.
Exactly. And suffering is inevitable. You can either charge through it head on and come out at the other end saying, look what I went through, look what I did, look the lessons I've learned, I'm a better person because of it. Or you can run away from the suffering and eventually it will catch up to you and it's going to ruin you.
Mm-hmm.
See, the difference between a bull and a water buffalo. See, a water buffalo, when they see a storm coming, they will charge straight into the storm.
Mm-hmm.
And they will pass through and they will keep going until they get on the other side of the storm. See, the storm's moving this way, the water buffalo's moving this way. They're going to pass through the storm much quicker. It's going to be intense for them, but they're going to pass through it much quicker. And on the other side, guess what lies ahead? Nice, fresh, green pasture.
Yeah. Sunny days.
Exactly. Now, a bull, on the other hand, when they see a storm coming, they will run away from the storm. And eventually, the storm's going to catch up to them. And when the storm catches up to them, they're now running in the same direction as the storm. The suffering is prolonged.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time they finally get out of the storm, there's not really much left for them. The same thing applies in our lives. Suffering is inevitable. The storm's coming. There's nothing we can do about that. We can either charge at it head on and knowing what lies ahead, or we can run away from it and allow it to catch up to us eventually.
So my question is, so we have that analogy, we have that, okay, so we're gonna charge out our problems, we're gonna charge our obstacles, but how do you deal with that? Like, how do you do that? Do you ever feel a lack of determination? Like, about your goals, or are you just, I'm like, I'm gonna get this. Or do you ever have 500 push-ups in a day? Let's go back to that.
Okay.
500 push-ups in a day, that's a lot of push. I've heard of 100 push-ups in a day.
Yeah.
I've done that before. I remember I did 100 push-ups a day for about, I said I was going to do it for 2 weeks. I did it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That was a lot. 100 push-ups is already a lot. You say 500.
I didn't start at 500.
You didn't start at 500.
I didn't start at 500. I started at 100.
Okay.
No, even before that. It started off with 25 push-ups before I left my room.
Mhm.
And then from there it turned to 50 push-ups. And it was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and do 50 push-ups when I wake up, 50 push-ups before I go to bed. That's 100 push-ups a day.
Yeah.
Cool. So then it was like, you know what, I can probably do more. I'm doing 100 push-ups. I can do more. I know that I can do more.
Mhm.
And so from there it was like, you know what, I'm gonna see if I can do 100 push-ups every morning, 100 push-ups every night. Then I started doing that for a little bit too. That's 200 a day. And then from there, just gradually, you know what? Let's see if I can do 500.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a day, I remember a day, I think it was a weekend. I was home from school. I had nothing to do that day. I was like, I'm just gonna spend all day today doing 500 push-ups. And so I did the 500. I broke it up in increments because you can't do 500.
You're not gonna do 500 in a row,
No.
Mr. Goggins.
But yeah, so I did 500 a day in that day, and I was like, this feels good, but it also hurts because I woke up the next day, and I was like, I can't even move anything.
Mm-hmm.
But then after my soreness went away, I was like, I'm gonna do it again. That was a good feeling. 500 push-ups. Who does 500 push-ups?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna do that again.
Yeah.
And so I did it again. A few days of hurting. I was like, I want to do it again. Then a few more days of hurting. And then it gradually from a week to a few days, then just a few days to one day.
Mhm.
And then that eventually snowballed into I was doing 500 push-ups every day.
Mhm.
And that was during the summer where I had just moved here to Tennessee. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a car. I was like, you know what? If I allow myself to rot, my sisters are at school. They're off during sports practice. My mom's she's an elementary teacher. My mom's out getting her classroom prepared for the school year. My dad's working. My grandma's in her room doing whatever because my grandma was with us. If I allow myself to rot here, I'm going to hate myself. I'm going to regret myself.
Mhm.
And I know myself better than to allow myself to do that. And I can have a respect, even if it's not for myself, but for what other people have done for me, for what other people have poured in my life. Not only that, but for who God has made me to be. I cannot allow myself to sit here and rot away. And so I dedicated that whole summer 500 push-ups every single day. I would not allow myself to go to bed until my 500 push-ups were done. Because another rule that I set for myself was if I didn't do my 500 push-ups that day, whatever was left rolled into the next day. Doubled.
Mhm.
So if I missed out, if I only did 400 push-ups, that's now 100 push-ups left. That's now an extra 200 that I have to do the next day. And I did that one time, and I hated it. 700 push-ups. But then I remember one day I was like, I really am not doing anything. 500 push-ups now. I've been doing it for every day for about a month. Let's see if I can hit 1,000
A day.
in a day.
Did you do
I did.
That's.
And
How
so,
do you feel the next day? I'm curious.
Amazing.
Amazing. Were
Yeah,
you like?
I was a little bit more sore than I usually was, but it was like that kind of accomplishment.
Yeah.
It's so then it was, and I just kept going back to 500 push-ups, 500 push-ups, and then maybe once a week I'll see you with that I did 1,000. And so then it's more and more of doing that. I came out the other end of that, and I was like, you know what? This could have been the suckiest summer ever. Because I was inside most of the summer. It was too hot to go outside. I didn't know anybody. Like I said, there was nothing for me to do. I would listen to podcasts. I would watch TV. I would play video games. And all the while I was doing push-ups.
Mhm.
And I think that really helped me out because it built in that discipline, that self-discipline of, okay, now I've proven to myself that if I'm going to do something that I say that I'm going to do, I'm going to stick to it to the end. And exactly, you got to become a man of your word. So that ties into what I was saying earlier. You got to become a man of your word. You need to, first off, prove to yourself that if you're going to say you're going to do something, you stick to it to the end and you see through it. You see to it that it gets done, not just done half. I was about to say a word I probably shouldn't say. I know this is a Christian podcast, excuse me. Half donkey, how about I say that?
Half donkey.
If you're gonna do something halfway, if you're gonna do something halfway, there's no point in doing it at all. And if you're gonna do something without any kind of effort, there's no point in doing it at all. Because you can't just do something to say you did it. You gotta do something and take pride in the fact that you did it to the best of your ability. This is what football taught me. This is what my coach taught me. Don't ever do something and not try. Because then there's no point in doing it at all.
Yes.
Because especially this with team sports,
Mhm.
if you don't try, if you don't give it your best 100% of the time, 100% of the way, you and me both know, and anyone else who plays sports, they know too, that it doesn't just affect you, it affects everybody around you. If I don't do my job as a left guard, because I was a tubbier guy back in high school, if I don't do my job as a left offensive guard, and the plays coming through my pocket, the running backs coming through my pocket, and I don't get to my nose, either if I'm going from the nose or if I'm going for the left tackle. If I don't get whoever it is out of the way, it's my fault then that the play didn't even pass the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
It's something my dad says all the time. No man is an island unto himself. everybody relies on each other, and what you do affects everybody around you.
Yes.
And so you have to first prove to yourself that you are a man of your word by sticking through to what you say you're going to do for yourself first. You got to put on the mask while you're in the airline before you can start helping other people. Once you've proven to yourself that you stick to your word, that you're a man of your word, other people will see that. And when you start doing things for other people and start proving to them that you are a man of your word, and you help them out and make them know that if you do something for them, you're going to see through it and see to it that it gets done the right way, they're going to then rely on you. And then you can then rely on them.
Yeah.
And that all ties back into New Year's resolutions. How so many people, you can't rely on too many people these days because they're so fixated on, I'm going to do this because it's the thing to do, but now I'm comfortable and I don't want to do it anymore. You've just proven to the whole world that we can't rely on you for anything.
Yes.
And so that's why I don't make New Year's resolutions, because there's no point. There's no point in waiting for the calendar to turn into a new year for you to actually start bettering yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There's no point in doing that, start proving to the world that you're a failure, essentially. Because that's what most people do. This whole New Year's resolution thing, it proves to the world what a failure you are. See, I know that I was telling you about this earlier. The week between Christmas and New Year's is the most wasted week out of the entire year. Everybody is full of food from the previous day. Everybody's sitting at home watching TV. Everybody's playing with the new Christmas toys. And they're just there. Now, I can understand that. But to allow yourself to rot for that week, if you want to be an exceptional person, you cannot allow yourself to waste that week.
The calendar, like if you're an exceptional person, if you're a high motor person, the calendar doesn't matter.
The calendar doesn't matter.
Now listen, man, I encourage people with holidays like Christmas. Come on, like spend time with your family.
Exactly.
Like, enjoy your time. But
no, Vito Corleone,
yeah,
The Godfather, says a real man isn't a man unless he spends time with his family.
yes. But even that, like you're not rotting. You're still doing a value. Family's a value.
Yeah.
Family. So my thing is like family is the second pillar of life. The only thing that comes above family is faith. So faith, family, fitness, and finance. It's not mine. I got it from Rise of Kings.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about that.
Yeah.
You talked about one of my favorite Rise of Kings values earlier about how if I fail, people around me suffer.
Exactly.
If I fail, it's not me that suffers.
Even if you can't respect yourself, have enough love and respect for everybody else to know that if I fail, it's going to affect everybody else.
Yeah, you know the Bengals and the Texans?
Yeah.
So the thing about the Bengals for years has been their O-line. And that's probably why they didn't win the Super Bowl in 2021.
Yeah.
Right against the Rams.
Yeah.
I think this year.
Exactly why.
Yeah, it's exactly why. And I saw this thing with Alex Kappa, one of their linemen, about how like he got the triple crown and he's first in like sacks allowed and hurries allowed and those other he's the worst lineman in the NFL. And the Texans, I saw this thing this morning about someone made this post about why each team will not win the Super Bowl. The Texans, poor O-line. I'm like, the O-line is one of the most unglorified positions in football. I'm sure you know.
I know firsthand.
You know firsthand.
Those are the trenches, man.
But like we saying, if I can't do this, guess what? QB gets sacked, RB gets lost for yards, sets our team back a lot.
Everybody hates in the O-line, and everybody thinks that the O-line isn't nothing.
Yeah.
But you can't run any plays without the O-line.
And what's worse, your QB could get hurt. And from there, it's not just that one play. It's at least the rest of that game. Probably the next few weeks, maybe the whole season if he got hit hard enough.
Yeah.
It completely falls around you. When I was at Rise of Kings, I was singled out, or I was chosen. Chosen the better word. I was chosen for this demonstration. And what this guy did, so we were doing sandbag drills. We had these sandbags.
Yeah.
And so I had my own personal sandbag I was creating. Each sandbag is about 30 pounds. And so he's like, all right, this sandbag is yours. This is your own stuff right here. This is your own things, responsibilities, things you got to worry about. He goes, Luke, do you have a wife? I said, no, sir. He said, do you have a girlfriend? I said, no, sir. At the time I wasn't dating Haley yet. He goes, okay. So running out of options. He goes, do you have a dog? I said, yes. And to this day, I thank God I didn't say I had two. Because he goes, all right, Luke grabs someone else's sandbag. He puts it on me. Feed me, right? Talking as if my dog. And then, hey, Luke, I need to go for a walk. And he's listing these things. He's putting sandbags on me. And then he goes to my family, right? My mom was like, oh, he goes, Mom needs you to run an errand. Dad needs you to take little sister to school. All these different things. All of a sudden, I've got 9 sandbags I'm in my cradle in my arms, about 270 pounds.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. I'm thinking to myself, I'm growing a little bit. And I'm like, I don't know if I can take another sandbag. 300 pounds in my arms, man. That would have been nuts. And thank God he didn't put in the tent. But I'm holding these, and he's yelling to the other guys that are doing this with me about the point. And the point is, hey, the dogs are going to need to be taken care of. You're going to have to do favors for your parents, and you should. But the thing is, like with us guys, we're supposed to lead our family when we have. We're supposed to lead our family, lead our wives, children, whatever. We're supposed to provide.
Yeah.
If we can't do that, the sandbag didn't carry either way. The sandbag doesn't just get dropped. But when we can't carry our full sandbag, even if we carry, let's say we carry 20 out of 30 pounds, well, that's 10 more pounds you're adding to your girlfriend now, or future wife, future kids, friends, your family, parents maybe. You're adding all this extra baggage to their lives because you didn't do what you were supposed to do. If we can't do what we're supposed to do, if we can't stick to those New Year's resolutions, you can make up a resolution any time of the year. Why you gotta make it? It's not just a one time. You ain't just gonna make it January 1st.
Yeah.
That's just the day that we decide, all right, new year, new me. I'm like, man, you can change who you are at any moment of time. It could be June, it could be September, it could be March. You can change at any moment. It's a plan.
And if you really cared about what you were saying, you wouldn't wait for the calendar year to change.
No,
you can get started today. You can get started today.
Yeah, it's called conviction.
Yeah, exactly.
It's called conviction. It's called being tired. It's called being tired of your own of your own stuff. It's called being tired of sitting in your own crap.
Yeah, exactly. And because of that, New Year's resolutions, that's the lazy man's way out.
Yes, it is.
That's the lazy man's way of coping. That's the lazy man saying, okay, I'm gonna do it because everybody else is doing it. But
I
when the
know
rubber
you.
meets the road,
Yeah.
and they no longer have that, exactly what I was talking about earlier, motivation.
Yes.
Because motivation ain't nothing if you don't got the discipline for it.
Yes.
Motivation is a feeling. It's the icing on the cake. They can get the ball rolling, but discipline is what's going to keep the momentum going.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a snowball. It's like exactly what we were talking about with push-ups. 500 push-ups to someone who doesn't do any in a day seems like a lot.
Yeah,
And it is a lot.
It's a lot. I'm not doing 500 push-ups today. I know that.
Yeah.
I rolled out of bed. No, I still rolled out of because I know I'm cooped up. We got snow. We had big snow. I did push-ups this morning.
Yeah, me too.
I
don't allow myself to leave my room until I've done at least 50.
Yeah, absolutely. I rolled out of bed, did my push-ups too because I've still got to be fit. I'm still cutting.
Yeah.
I'm still like my life doesn't stop just because the snow's outside.
Right.
Ooh, right.
Now,
that's snow.
yeah. And there's tips and tricks. There's ways you can get yourself to that. Because if you're trying to do like all or nothing, if you say you're going to do 500 push-ups a day and you don't do any in a day, you're gonna quit.
Yeah,
Your goal has to become achievable.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're that kind of person where you're like, I'm gonna do 500 push-ups a day, it doesn't matter. You can probably go for a little bit, but your body's gonna give out on you.
Yes.
And so it's a snowball effect. You have to start little by little. And you start off with a little thing like it's snowing outside. So it's a perfect example. You start off with a little thing like this, like that big. And you start rolling it in the snow. And you see the progress. The snowball's getting bigger. How big do you want your snowball to be?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want it to just stay a little, maybe you get a little bit bigger like that? Maybe it can be a little bit bigger. Maybe your snowball's just a little bit bigger than the person next to you. Maybe their snowman's just pretty average sized.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you want to keep going? Do you want your snowman to be the biggest snowman on the freaking lot? And I'm only giving this example because we got our first snow day today here in Nashville.
Oh, I had one last week.
I know you did.
Yeah, this is it. I'm used to it. I had a couple days of no snow when I moved down here, and then I was back again. I'm like,
yeah, here we are. But so many people settle for average.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an unfortunate thing because if you're always going to settle for average, you can't expect good things of yourself. Don't expect anybody else to think of you as any more than you prove yourself to be.
If you want people's perception change, but I used to want this. So
Quote that.
That's a good. That's a good one. That's a good line. When I was in middle school or early high school too, it was in between that 7th to 9th grade years.
Yeah.
I didn't like the perception about me And because nobody took me seriously, right? And kids will be kids. Everyone gets bullied at some point in their lives. And honestly, I think to an extent they maybe should. Because you talked about that everybody says, oh no, you're good, you're perfect, what that doesn't cause any growth.
Yeah.
So I grew because of this. And now there's limits. Don't make somebody, do something that they shouldn't be doing. But a little poke, a little pride, maybe a little accountability. Hey, you shouldn't. That's weird. Don't why are you doing that?
Yeah.
There's so many different intricacies and exceptions about situations to that. Anyway, kids picking on me, whatever. I was a weird kid, still am. A little goofy, still am.
You would know.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a good level to that.
Exactly, and you gotta be able to enjoy life. Work hard, but also enjoy life. You can't go through life with the mind of, "Oh, I'm just gonna be a little stickler about everything. I don't really.
Right.
It's gonna take everything super seriously and be Mr. Grumpy all day,
Yeah.
Mr. No Fun." No, be serious about what you're gonna do, but also have fun.
But when I was little, I was extra. I'll think back to what I was doing. I'm like, why did I just do that? What was going through my head?
Yeah.
It's things like that. And I talked to my dad about it one day at school, and I'm like, Dad, I don't like the way that I'm perceived. I don't like the way the kids treat me or think about me. And he goes, okay. And I told him, I was like, I've been trying to change it, but the perception's changing. And he goes, it's not going to change immediately. It's not going to change in a couple of weeks. It's probably not going to change this year. It'll change by the time you start to get out of high school. And at the time, I'm beginning high school, ending middle school. And I'm like, that's a long time away for me then. Now I'm like, oh, that's a flash. Then I'm like, you mean I gotta wait 3 to 4 years for this perception to be changed? That's, yeah, it's not, maybe not quite that long. It just depends on who you're around and who you're around more. And obviously, if you don't see somebody as much, their perception is it's going to take a longer time to change.
Right.
People remember you as you were. Like, I haven't seen people since I graduated a year and a half ago, and I've changed since then, right? But if I were to go see the people now, they're not gonna see me as I am now. They're gonna see me as I was a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Because that's the last impression of me. If you're around someone every day, they're gonna see it a little bit more. My girlfriend's you're going to see it a lot more than even my parents will now, just because I'm around you guys more than I'm with my parents now. And it's that I showed up to school every day, and I kept changing, I kept growing, I kept improving. I mess up, be goofy sometimes, said some things I shouldn't have said. But by the time I graduated, my last 2 years of high school, I was one of the most well-liked kids in my school, my class. And who knows, maybe they see this and be like, no, we hated you. Man, but my perception, I made some good friends.
Yeah.
I had a lot more friends.
Yeah.
My last 2 years of high school, almost 3. It was a tough 3 because COVID hit us, right? But I remember my junior, senior years of high school, those are better times just because, hey, I developed, I changed, people saw that, and people want to hang out with me a little bit more. People didn't see me as just this weird kid that, why, like, you just ruined the mood. I don't want to use the word more normal, but I grew into be a better person that people could get behind, that people could respect, and that people could appreciate, despite whatever quirks I may have. That constant, if you want people's perception of you to change, it's you that changes, not them. It's you that does work and not them. Like, people want their lives to change, but they don't want to do what they need to do to make that happen. And that's tough, man. And that's sad for me to see because I'm a very growth-minded person. And so when I see people that everybody wants to be rich, right? Everybody wants to be financially free.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be successful.
Right. Yeah.
But I see these guys that don't have the mindset or don't have the work ethic to do it. I'm like, man, it breaks my heart, and it used to make me mad. Now it just breaks my heart because I'm just like, dude, I want you to succeed too. I do. I'm a guy that wants you to succeed, but if you don't do what you need to do, if you're not willing to do the work to do it, it doesn't make me mad anymore. It just makes me sad because I know you want something and you'll never achieve it as long as you stay like
They
that.
won't deserve it.
They won't deserve it.
Straight up, they don't deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
You only deserve what you work for.
No, that's an interesting because
And I'm talking straight up only in this world.
that's a worldly mindset. I want to keep
very worldly
want
mindset.
to keep that in view.
Yes, so I'm going to acknowledge that this is a very worldly mindset. This is here's how the world works.
It's still in Proverbs, like
Yes.
it's still referenced in
Yeah.
scripture, but
Proverbs it's King Solomon, he even says like, you don't deserve what you don't work for.
Yeah.
He says it in a different way than I did.
Yeah, he said it.
It's a very biblical principle. And if you're not willing to put in the work to get it, then you don't deserve the end result. Everyone wants the same end result. Everybody wants a big house, a nice car, the beautiful wife, the many kids. Everyone wants to have the nice strong body that people love to look at and maybe go like, that six pack. But no one's willing to put in the work to get it. That goes in the whole discussion about value, and we can just gloss over this. Anything that is worth value, anything that is of value does not come by easily. If it did, it wouldn't be valuable. The reason why people love Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Bugattis so much is that those are not cars that everybody has. Those are not cars that the average person has. Everyone has a Nissan, everybody has a Honda, everybody has a little Toyota. No one's impressed by those cars. But that's why nobody cares about all these cars that you see everyone else driving. But everyone loves the Lamborghinis, the Ferraris, the Bugattis, the Koenigseggs. I'm a big car guy, so I like Koenigsegg, all that. Because those are cars that do not come by easily. Especially with Bugatti, you have to be invited to have a car. You can't just go and buy a Bugatti Chiron. You have to be allowed by the Bugatti company to have one of those. You can't have a Ford, what's it called? The Ford GT. I don't know if you know what that is. Back in the late 60s, the Le Mans 24-hour race. When Ford used the Ford GT that they specially designed for this race, and they beat Ferrari, first time in Ferrari been beaten years. That particular car, which they only made so much of, you have to put on a waiting list. Like you have to apply to be able to have a car, even if you have that kind of money. Nothing of value comes easily. You have to work for it. You have to earn it. You have to prove that you are worthy of having it. And that comes full circle back to what are you doing in your own life? So first prove to yourself that you are worthy of these things. And when you prove that to yourself, you will then be able to prove that to everybody else.
There you go.
Put your mask on yourself first before you can help other people with their mask. Take the plank out of your own eye first before you can get the speck out of everybody else's.
Absolutely.
Pick yourself back up before you can help other people back up.
Absolutely. My main mission in life why I do this podcast is to spread the gospel and hopefully help people. I want to be a mediator that Jesus can work through to bring people to heaven. That's what I want. I want to bring as many people to heaven with me as I can. I can't do that unless, how can I do that if I'm not a believer, a firm, solid believer Christian myself?
Yeah.
You're not going to find some guy that doesn't believe in Jesus and you're not going to convince you to be a Christ follower. Just doesn't work like that. I mean, you be that. So you be who you want to be and you inspire people. Kobe Bryant, the late great Kobe Bryant, my favorite athlete of all time. Says to, I know we got to wrap it up here soon, but he says, he defined greatness as the ability to inspire the person next to you. Could Kobe have done that without being Kobe? He's now 4th on the all-time scoring list. 5-time NBA champion. He had a 3-peat track, back-to-back, in 09-10, right? That kind of thing. He couldn't. I'm inspired by Kobe. Have been for a couple years now. I didn't know enough about basketball back in the day when he was playing to really pay attention, whatever. But Kobe, I was inspired by Kobe. How could I wouldn't have been able to be inspired by Kobe if Kobe wasn't Kobe and wasn't who he was and did the things that he did. He did the things he did because he was who he was. So it was who Kobe was that inspired me. So it's not so much, I think this is a really cool concept, really cool thing to remember about. You talk about all these accomplishments, 500 push-ups, the things we're working for, whatever. It's not so much about, hey, I did this. It's about, was it more about who you became, who you grew into, what you proved to yourself that you were. You talk about, hey, I did this and now I am, like, I live up to my word. I accomplished this. It wasn't so much about the accomplishment itself, about what you became and who you were and who you proved yourself to be. It's what we talked about a lot about the mask thing with the airplane and taking care of yourself and you take care of others, which is what we're supposed to do, right?
Exactly,
What's the biggest takeaway that you want people to know that we talked about today? What's number one?
That's a really good question.
I know, we talked about a lot.
That's a really good question.
We took up almost a full hour.
The number one takeaway is provoking a lot of thought for me. I would say that the number one takeaway is that if you truly cared about the goals that you set, you wouldn't wait to get going on them. You wouldn't wait to start now. You can start now. I've heard so many people even say, oh, my New Year's resolution, I didn't hold up to it, so I'll start back up again next month. Or I'll start back up again maybe this summer. Or I'll start back up again next year. And they never do it. If you truly cared, you would start today. Okay? No, and I'm gonna say this from a very worldly mindset, from a very worldly point of view.
Okay.
That no one's coming to save you.
Okay.
You need to do it yourself. Because if you don't do it yourself, no one's gonna do it for you.
I was gonna do it for you, but people will help you, right?
People will help you.
But it has to be yours.
But you have to do it yourself.
Yes.
Because no one else is gonna do it for you.
Mhm.
And no one else cares enough to do it for you.
Yeah.
No one else cares enough to even help you unless you prove to that you're worthy of them helping you out. Now, we can go into the whole talk about spirituality and how, as Christians, we are to help those in need, regardless of whether or not they deserve it, because that's what Jesus first did for us.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about our mindset, we're talking about us, not expect help from anybody else. We need to be the ones to pull ourselves out. That's fantastic, but that doesn't mean that we need to let our guard down, become lazy.
And I still think spiritually, we still have to set ourselves first.
Exactly.
If we want to help some people properly.
Yes, and so that's my biggest takeaway, is that if you truly care, you wouldn't wait, you would start today. The second takeaway I will go is that as a man, if you cannot stick true to your word, nothing else matters. If you cannot stick true to what you're gonna say and follow through with it, not half donkey it, not do it halfway, not do it in a very sloppy way, but you do it 100% of the time, 100% of the way. And you do that not just for yourself, but for everybody else. You have proven yourself. That's a pretty big aspect of being a man. You have proven yourself to be a man. If you cannot hold true to your word, nothing else matters. If you cannot do what you say you're going to do, if people are reliant, and especially if people are reliant on you to do what you say you're going to do, and you don't do it, there is no point in trying to gain any kind of respect in any other aspect. You have lost it. Stick true to your word. Stick true to what you're going to do, and do it all the way. Do it with your best effort. Even if you do lose, if you can look back and say, I gave it my all, that's what matters.
Yep, that's a very important, that's one of my biggest things right there. I wish we had time to get more into that, but I know we're cutting it short. Kyle, I enjoyed it, man. I really love all of our conversations.
I love talking about this. We'll go ahead and we'll set something up another time.
Yeah,
Gotta do it
absolutely.
again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk a lot more about when we'll next have you on.
Yeah.
We'll definitely have him on again soon. I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. I hope you enjoyed Kyle. I certainly did. I certainly always do.
And I do want to end off on a really brighter note. I know this has been
Yeah.
a very pessimistic way of me saying everything.
It's a real conversation.
Yeah, it's been very pessimistic. You can't do this, because that's my line of thinking. But to end it off on a broader note for anyone who doesn't maybe share that exact same mentality that you and I maybe have, is you can do it, but you just need to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's nothing that's stopping you from doing it except yourself. You're your own worst enemy.
Yeah.
If you can prove to yourself that you can do it and that nothing's gonna stop you, you can do anything.
Yeah.
And I know it's very cliche. You can do anything you want to do.
Well, it's a fundamental belief.
Yeah.
That's why it's cliche.
Yeah, because it's very true. There's a lot of truth in it. There's so much truth in it that if you truly set your mind to it, and if you do what you say you're gonna do, you can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it. There's nothing that's stopping you except yourself. It's all in here. It's all mental. It's all mental. If you can beat that mental game, you're good.
Absolutely. Once again, I appreciate you.
All right, man.
I appreciate having you on here, man. I really loved it. I hope you guys loved it too. Again, we'll have them on again soon. Next week, I don't know what we're gonna do next week, but I might have another guest. I might do a series of guests. I know I've had a couple other friends that have reached out to me too, and again, I like these dudes, so that's why they're my friends. And we'll have some amazing theological conversations. We'll have, talks about life like we did today, and being a man of your word and stuff like that. So tune in next week. We'll see. I'll keep you updated about who we have next week. I'm really excited about it, and it's a good time on here. But for now, guys, have a good week. Have a good day, And I hope to see you guys again next week on the Living for His Glory podcast. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Living for His Glory podcast. I hope you gained some terrific insights and knowledge about what it means to live for God's glory and more about His character. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to press the like button and subscribe if you want to continue watching and hear more about God and how we can live for His glory. Have a great day, my friends, and I'll see you next time.